Hi guys, so I just wanted to give everyone a little bit of an overview of my latest project, which is this, the Icon A5. This is my first venture into fixed wings. You may have already seen some of these videos, certainly subscribers would have done. Basically, I've only been doing multi-rotors, so I've never tried fixed wing flight other than simulators, so I thought I'd give it a go. The videos that you've probably already seen by now are some of my first flights. I crashed at least 3 times. If you want to see more of the reasons of why I've gone for this plane and not just a good old-fashioned trainer plane, which would probably be the sensible thing, take a look at my blog. In short, basically, this is a discontinued aircraft that I've got a lot of interest in from following the development of the real aircraft. I really wanted one of these, and due to time constraints and the fact that Horizon Hobby have discontinued this now, I had to act on it, grab myself one, and I couldn't really afford to get a trainer plane and one of these, so I've used this for my training, which has not been too bad of a learning curve. And as part of doing this project, what I've also done is I have invested a little bit of help from this here, which is the Feotech FY41AP Lite. Now this is the fixed wing version of the FY41AP autopilot system. The full version is exactly the same, except it can do multi-rotors as well as fixed wings. This is actually fixed wing only. Fantastic little bit of kit. Basically it does stabilisation, it does return to home, it comes with a GPS, it comes with a pitot tube for speed sensor, it's got a built-in OSD, it supports voltage out to your camera through 12 volts, it's got its own power module. Great little bit of kit, £100, a great bit of kit for the value, and yeah, it just allows you to have that little bit of stability when you want it, and if you lose orientation you can just flick a switch and it will maintain an altitude and it will come and hover right over the top of you. So looking at what I've done so far, this is the actual fitment of it. Some of the modifications that I've made already from the brief flights that I've had. Obviously I've got the FY41AP fitted here on a custom mount that I've made. I've also fitted flaps. So this panel here and this panel here, these were not there. They are actually just literally taking a slice out of the EPO foam, putting a bit of tape in there, adding a control horn and a clevis. And if we get under there, there's a servo that I've had to just cut the holes out of. They don't come pre-cut. And yeah, just basically creating a flap. So I can show you the operation of those flaps. I've dialed it onto my VR switch. So if I dial it in, I can have as much flap as I want. And that makes the world of difference when it comes to landing this. The Icon is actually a fairly docile plane to fly, but it tip stalls like anything at low speeds. Check out my videos from the first flights of it and you'll see exactly what I meant. First video was because I'd somehow managed to get the ailerons reversed, which is just complete stupidity on my part, even though I checked it time and time again. But after that it was still a problem that if you don't gain enough speed on takeoff and landing, it will tip stall really easily. These flaps, literally 30% flaps, give it a hurl into the wind or do a faster landing, you can slow yourself down, it will literally just glide in really nicely. And for someone like me who's never really flown a fixed wing other than in simulators, it's made life a lot easier for me. The other modification that I'm going to show off here is, as part of that, this is the little Castle 10 amp BEC. So this is a standalone BEC. The ESC that comes in the Icon, this is the version 1 sadly, not the version 2 for some reason, but that can only rate, I think it's about 2 amps, so when you add 2 extra servos for flaps, you're pushing it. The biggest problem with the Icon setup is that even with the FY41AP in place, the ESC is still your only power source for your control surfaces, your servos and your RX. What I've done by adding this BEC, which is a common thing for people to do with the Icon, basically this now powers the autopilot system, the servos and the RX. As long as the autopilot system doesn't die on me, then basically if the ESC died for whatever reason, heat transfer causes it to pop, and the engine turns off, I can still at least glide it in. Beforehand it wasn't a case of gliding it in, it was a case of you would fall out of the sky, simple as that, and completely destroy the thing. I've crashed this at least 3 or 4 times already. I've repaired it. There's repairs at the back here using Gorilla Glue. My first repair, which was using hot glue, somewhat ugly. I've put a strengthening beam inside the tail from doing it, learnt a lot from doing that. The flaps I've still got to work out. There's a fairing that goes here. I've got to work out the wiring, because the wiring tucks in inside the wing, and unfortunately there isn't enough space for two of these servo extensions. So what I might have to do is just cut a hole and actually embed them in there and seal it all up. So that's the actual aircraft itself. And the other thing that you've probably been staring at all the way through this is my latest modification, which is my spare cockpit. And this is my FY G3 brushless gimbal, custom mount that I've made with a bit of plywood, nothing too rocket science, gorilla glued onto another piece of plywood, bolted into the back of the bulkhead. Obviously the cockpit comes with this. Literally you just unpop the glue around it. It's fairly soft glue anyway, take that off. Not the most aerodynamic of things, but anyway, this will give me full rotation. I will demonstrate that full rotation in my hands right now. And now you can see that that's all working. We've just got to get it up in the air and give it a test flight basically. But we'll see how it goes. After that, it's going to be a case of fixing my FPV camera, so a standalone FPV camera here, like a board camera basically, and that's going to have the FY41AP OSD coming through it, so I've got flight OSD. Obviously I don't ideally want to fly through the gimbal, because unless I've got the OSD working really well with the artificial horizon, I'm not going to know what my orientation is if I point myself towards the clouds. So yeah, but that's where I'm at the moment. After this I'm going to be moving on probably to do a little bit of long range FPV, probably not with the Icon. I'm pretty much hooked on this already, even though I've only flown it about 4 or 5 times properly. I'll probably move on to something like a high-tech Sky Scout, which is basically the identical plane to the Multiplex Easy Star 2. Something that's got a little bit further range, that I can put a bigger battery in it and just concentrate on some long range flights. Then I'll probably invest in something like Easy UHF and go from there. But anyway, I thought I'd give every one of my subscribers and anyone who's interested a bit of an overview of where I'm at the moment. Any questions? Feel free to post.